All right. Yeah, sorry. Kevin Odum, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just give me a reaction in the chat. Kevin Odum. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? That we can begin. All right, sure. And is the quality clear? Kevin, is the quality clear? Okay. Yeah, okay, sure. Then, do we have the math students also in the math like math majors? Because I can't reach out to to their reps and then send them the link. Are they in math majors? Yeah. So if you're a math major, you just type math. I just want to see so that I can start. Yeah, so math major, you just have to make me know. Okay, we do have math majors here. Okay, so math, make sure you send the link. It seems a lot of them didn't get this one, right? So let's continue. So I was talking about the the formatting, okay, whereby you can do any sort of customization that you want in this font or alignment section, right? All right, sure. So it's, you all of you seem to be around. So let's make sure we make good use of our 40 minutes for new streamers. This account, this is the first time is doing a live stream, so it's 40 minutes. Okay, so let's make good use of it. Okay, so yeah, so just editing. You can even add borders to it. Okay, as I said, we can't do everything right now. We can't do everything today, right? So just be creative, explore, like everything. You see, this one will give a border, right? So look, I don't know whether you can see, there seems to be a border around the Joseph, right? There seems to be a border around the Joseph. Right, there seems to be a border around the Joseph, right? Yeah, so just explore. That's how it is. You just have to be creative. Okay, so let's go into to cell referencing, right? So if we come here, right, we made mention of what, the name box, right? So this is the name box. Okay, this shows you the address or the name of the cell you are active with. Okay, so Joseph is at where, A2, and then the score 70 is at B2. So what you have to do is just an intersection of what, your row and your column. So this is your column and then a row. So there's some sort of intersection, right? I believe this is just intuitive that we all do understand, right? So that's how the addresses they work, or the cell reference. Right, yes, yeah. So based on those cell references, so based on the cell references, you can do calculations. You can do calculations based on the cell references, because that's some sort of connection, or you used to refer, just as the term say, reference from the term, like just as from refer, to refer something. Okay, so for example, we do have score. So let's say this is score 1, right? So score 2, right? Let's make everything uniform over here. And then it has a font size of 14. Yeah, so we've made all the same. So let's make this one, let's assume that these are midterms, right? So midterm is over 30. So let's say the individual got 21, and then for the final score, he had over 70. He had 54, right? So 54. I'm gonna get some sort of a total. Then with self references equal to what? What is the cell reference? So it's at what, B2, and then the exam score is at, or the score 2 is at where, C2. So B2 and C2. So if I want to refer to it, I just have to do B2. You see, you can see it's even selected, right? Some sort of assistance, and then plus what, C2. All right, So the conversion is just that it has to be capital. If you use small letter, it still works, right? But let's follow some convention over here, whereby we use capital letters. Okay, so you see that if I press enter, it works. Okay, okay, so as you if you add it up, you are getting 21 plus what 54, and you're getting 75, right? Great. So one trick that you can use is that you can just be clicking on it. Okay, so if you click on it and then you do your plus, you also click on it, it also works that way. It also works that way. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. I think that's good for or that's a good starting point for referencing. Yeah, so over here with the documents that you've been given, you can find you can do a computation for this. So you see, for Apple is what 10. If the 10 is what $0.5, and then I'm buying, and then I buy 10 of it, you see the total will be what 10 times what 0.5. Okay, so you just have to write the formula for it, and then you get it. So just as I did over here, whereby with this I just multiplied. If you are trying to do that question, you just have to what multiply. Okay, great. So we will come back to a technique of them. Okay, yeah, so with the referencing, we'll be looking at three things, okay, or three aspects. So one of the type of referencing is called a relative reference. Okay, based on what? Relativity. So relative referencing, we look at that, and then we look at. So firstly, let's look at relative referencing. Okay, so relative referencing, I have some I wish to import. So Control C, yeah, just a sheet, right? So I just went to the other sheets, and then right, so just as we saw the other question, so if I want to like calculate the total for Apple, it will just be equal to what? B2. So B2 times what? Times the unit price. Okay, and now I get $5. Okay, yeah, so someone is asking how did I get it $5? So looking at the formatting, so if I type a number here, and then I go to this place, the number section, you see that there are ways that I can represent it. So it could be an accounting number, a currency, date, test fraction. Sometimes your default might change to other formats, so you just have to make sure you get the correct format that you want to work with. So for example, this is currency, so when I click on currency, I get a dollar, right? So most of the time with a column, the entire column will be what? Will be a column for, let's say, monetary stuff. So the entire column will most of the time take dollars throughout. Then that means you have to select, when you click on the alphabet, it select the entire column. So it is with the column. If you select the numbers, it will select the entire, and then you do formatting with it. Excuse me. So with the general, you just have to change it to what? Currency. And then anytime I type, let's say 56, it automatically add the dollars. Okay, so 90, you get $. right? So there are other currencies over there that you can explore. Let me change this thing to general. All right, so that's how I automatically get the dollars. Okay, so you see it automatically calculates it for me. Now let's come to the concept of relative referencing. I want to give you a certain idea before relative referencing. I want to give you a basic idea before we start off. Okay, so generating some data over here. I'll show you all those later. And then this one is 5. Okay, so my whitebook is trying to sync. Okay, so it's done syncing. It had to sync to okay, so I'm just trying to generate some values. To be in series. Okay, all right, so let's try to get the idea of what relative referencing. Okay, so you see, if this is called total, okay, if I have something called total over here, all right, and then I select this, okay, which is called what, 11. Which is called A11, right? So I've been able to refer that place and then take the value. I can do computations to it or whatever thing that I want to do with it. Okay, so what the relative referencing does is that when I'm active, please take note, not in editing mode, but when I'm active, and then when I copy that cell and then paste it somewhere else, right? It tries to copy. Wait, let me vary the data. Yeah, so I've been able to vary the data. All right, so if you were following, you see the concept behind relative referencing is that it has this idea of relative, okay, of relativity. So if this is A1, okay, and then when I'm in active mode, this is active mode, and then I copy and then paste, and when I copy and then I paste it somewhere else. So let me delete this. So I've copied this content and then I paste. You do realize that I didn't get 3, but rather I got 54. So then that means what happened? It's still that idea of what relativity. So what it does is that, so the one that created the formula, so the cell that created the formula, it has some sense of what relativity. So if this is the cell that created the formula, it tried to refer to what 11, and then what's the distance? Look, 1 2 3, 4, right? So it had, in order to reach that, it had to move like 4 steps to reach to the A3, to reach to the A11. Then that means when I copy, and when the cell is active and then I copy it and then paste it to it, it will try to do that relative stuff. So you see that it will count 1, since it was 4 here, it will count 1, 2, 3, and what, 4. So that's why I got what, the A12. I don't know whether you do get it. So that's how the relative referencing works. So you see that if I copy again and then come and paste, you see that I'll get what, 36 instead of what, 3. So it's just the same idea of what, relativity. So just like the one that created it had what, in referencing it, it had like, in referencing the A1, it had to go on the left like 1, 2, 3, 4. When you copy and paste it on a different cell, it will do the same thing. It will go that same step like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see that when I copy this one, let me delete. So when I make sure, please, you don't double click it and enter edit mode, but rather you have to be in what, active mode. So when I copy and then come here, you see that I'll get 8. So let me enter active mode, 8. So you see this one, it goes what, the one that created it goes 4 steps to the what, to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then that means if I copy it here, it will also go to the left that way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it's giving us 8. All right. So there is this thing that if you drag, right, if you drag, it tries to like automatically copy it and then it do it for you, right? But still, it still uses that idea. So you see that it's still like relatively doing that, right? Like it relatively does that. I don't know whether you get the concept, but it's just about steps. Oh, sorry, it's just about steps. So the one that created it, right? So we can see that. Oh no. So we can see that A3 has the base formula, right? And then like it goes, in order to refer to the A11, it goes at 1, 2, 3, 4. Then that means if this editing mode, so when I enter active mode and then copy the content and then paste it like anywhere, it will try and then keep that distance in memory and then replicate that in order to reach out to other cells, right? So that's why this one is giving me 3, but when I copy it and then bring it here, it's giving me what, 54. So I can get complex whereby I do this, right? Then that means when I stand here with the B2, it goes what, 1, 2, 3. It goes 3 steps to the left. So it doesn't matter. It might be that it's what, up. So it will still keep doing that, right? It will keep that relativity in mind, and then when you copy it, it will try to like maintain that distance, right? So you see that I've just added it. So when yes, so you see that it still maintains that order, right? It still maintains that order. So you see that if I copy it and then like bring it here, I'm getting 12, but look at the distance, right? You see that the blue one goes what, 4 distance, so 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, but the red one goes what, 3 distances, so 1, 2, 3. So like 1, 2, 3. So it tries to maintain that consistently, right? All right, so so it does that. So that's how the relative referencing is. Okay, so let's go to the absolute. Yeah, so this is how the relative referencing is. Okay, yeah, so let's go to the absolute. So the absolute is used to prevent that. That's all, that sense of relativity. It tries to like prevent that. So it tries to prevent that sense of relativity. So one will ask, what will be a use for this? Okay, so imagine that I'm in a financial institution, right? Let me delete this. So this is called absolute referencing. So imagine I'm in a financial institution, and this one is called, let's see, funds, right? Or it could be like anything, right? And then over here we call this place what? Tax. No, over here we call this place what? Tax. Of it, tax is what? Tax is, let's say, 10%. Okay. So so this is going to be the tax charged, right? And then let's say someone is getting 100. No, someone is getting 100, and then I drag it down, right? Yeah, and then I do it in series. So this will do it in series. Okay, so let me try and then vary the values. This will try and vary the values over here. Yeah, so if I want to find the amount being like taxed, so since this should be a constant value, whereby I want to use it to multiply this, let's do it like the traditional way. So let's say this one times what, because we are calculating the amount charged, and remember that I add a percentage sign to it, so then that means that will be accounted. So let's see, so 10% of 10 is what? 10, right? So let's just do it. You and I will bear witness that we are getting it wrong. So you and I will bear witness that we are getting it wrong, because 10% of this is what? It's not 0, right? So let's look at what is happening over here. So if you did understand, if you were able to understand the relative referencing, then that means you will see what's going on over here. So look, so you see, since with this formula, the blue one is what? One step to the left, and then the red one is what? One step to the right. It will try and do same in this section, whereby it will also go left and right. It will go left and right like that, right? Just look, left and right. So but there are empty values here, right? But what we wanted to do is that I want to multiply the 10 by what? Each of the values. So if you are observing, you will see that the red one seems to be moving. It's moving, and that's causing a problem. We want the 10 to be fixed, right? So if that 10 comes in mind, so if that intuition comes in mind, then that means we have to lock it. That brought the idea of locking. So if I want to lock it, then in that formula, what I'll do is that, because the red one is the 10%, so I'll bring what? A dollar in front of the what? The alphabet. And remember that the alphabets are what? Are the columns. So if I bring a dollar in front of it, and then I bring my mouse here and then put a dollar in front of the numbers, it will be locked, right? So that idea of what using $2 signs is called what? The lock, right? So you see that if I do that and then I drag it, then it will work. Right now I'm getting 10% of the money, right? So let me show you something to visualize to you that it's locking the values. So you see that the red one is still fixed irrespective of where I go. Look, it's still fixed, it's still fixed, it's still fixed, it's still fixed. So if you want to fix a cell, that's what you do, right? So just as it is, there might be a reason or a need for us to like fix. You see, looking at this one, I'm fixing the column and the hearts and the rules. You see that if I still copy it on the left and right, the 10 will still be fixed, right? You can just try it out. But there could be a need whereby we will want to like fix the whereby we will wish to like fix the what do we call it? We will want to fix the column and then let the rules vary, and then vice versa. We might want to like fix the rules and then vary the column. So that brings us to an idea of what we call absolute. No, it's not absolute. We are done with the absolute. That brings us to the idea of what mixed referencing. Okay, so if we do remember, we had a certain problem that we wanted to solve, which is the multiplication problem, right? So the whole idea of the so if I want to do a quick recap, the relative referencing will just vary based on what the distance. But how about the absolute? The absolute will try and what fix it, or they will try and fix the cell that you see the red one fix. It will try to fix the cell that you logged and or the cell that you used $2 signs on. So remember that if I bring a dollar sign in front, or like should I say the back, like before an alphabet, then you get what? Then that means you face the column. So if you bring a dollar in front of what a number or a numeric, then you are trying to fix then that means you fix the rows. So that is the whole idea behind it. Alright, so then let's change the topic to what we call mixed referencing. I know you and I are thinking the same. Then that means that it's just a mix of what? Relative. Yes, you will get the slides. I've sent it to your class reps. I've sent all to your class rep. If you are a rep and then you don't have it, you can contact me and then I'll send it to you. So someone is asking a question. Please, why are we locking the C and not the A? That is a very nice question, Bra Kwame. Okay, so the idea is we are trying to find like the amount being taxed. For example, recently we've been having e-levy or maybe betting tax, right? So imagine that I change this one to like betting funds. So these are funds that individuals won, right? These are funds that individuals won. So I want to like, maybe I work at the taxation department and I want to find like tax of these funds. You see that if we did follow the relative referencing, then relative referencing will move according to like the movements that we do, right? But with the absolute, it locks. So the reason why we locked the 10% and then free the A is that so that this one will be what? A relative reference. The betting fund will be like relative, whereby it moves. That one we are allowing it to move, and then we are fixing the 10%, right? So we will just, that's the whole idea. Because if we make it free, if you rerun the video, right, this one will be saved. So when you go back and you rerun the video, you see that initially like the thing was like multiplying zeros to, of which we got it wrong, right? So we just, the whole idea was to just fix the tax and then we go through. I believe I've answered Bra Kwame's question. Alright, so let's go to what you want to do, the mixed referencing. So the whole idea of mixed referencing is when the multiplication problem comes in mind, right? So back in class we did this, right? The multiplication problem. So whereby this is what? X, which means our multiplication, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so the multiplication problem, right? So x, and then let me delete this one. Let me delete this. Okay, so and then this one becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. I believe I've gotten it right. So what do we actually want to do? Let me make this one center line so that you can all visualize it well. Yeah, so the multiplication was problem. Let me make this smaller. So if you get this if you want to do if there's a situation whereby you want to do this multiplication, 2 times 2, 4, whereby here we had 4, 2 times, whereby this becomes what, 6, right? You see the reason, most of the time you might encounter this problem too. You see, when I type anything, it converts to what percent. So then that means the mode has changed, so I have to make it general, right? And then that will never happen again. Great. So the point in time whereby you need the mixed referencing is when you need to solve the multiplication problem. So, and then 2 times it will give you what, 8, and then this will give you what, 10, and then this one will give you what, 12, right? And then that's the whole thing that you want to do. So it goes on and on. So how do we do that? So the whole idea is that just if you want to like solve the problem, just think first in that perspective. No, just first think in the relative perspective, right? So let's do it relatively. So what you wanted it to do was what, 2 times what, 2 times what, times this, right? And then we are getting what, and then we are getting what, 4. Okay, but wait, let's drag it and see. You and I will attest to the fact that we are wrong, because 2 times 3, okay, the 2 times 2 we are right, because most of the time those are the starting point, right? So those are the starting points. So most of the time the starting points you get it right, because that's where you are trying to start from. So but what about 2 times 3? It's what, 12, right? But we are getting it wrong. You see, 2 times is 6, but rather it's 12. Then that means we are wrong. So then that means we have to get it right. So in order for us to get it right, will prompt us that then let's investigate the problem, right? Because this is relative. So relatively, so you see, relatively, when I click the starting point, you can see that on my left I'm moving what, 1 distance, and then on top I'm going 1 distance, right? Then that means if I copy and paste that formula here, it will also do same to this, whereby it will go up and then left, instead of what, going to the what, instead of like reaching here or going 2 steps over here, it will then do relative wise based on what the other one was doing. Okay, so let's go to like, let's investigate the D1 too, because in order to like solve a problem you should get more data to what you are doing, or more observations. Let's observe this one too. It's doing the same, right? Because this relative, the starting point will have what, up, like it goes top once and then goes left 1. So it will try to replicate that. Then that means that is what, a relative reference. Okay, can you click on 12 fast? So when I click on 12, you see that it's trying to replicate this foundation formula. So all that we've been doing, we do have a foundation formula that we deal with, right? So you see that with the foundation formula, which is the what, the 4 one, like the 4, you see that it's what, it goes up 1 and goes left what, 1. So and then we come here to, like, it tries to replicate that because it's what, it's a relative reference. And due to this case, we are getting it wrong. Then in order to get this thing right, like in order to get the first rule right, you will see that we, like, intuitively, it seems that we have to fix the 12, like, no, we have to fix like the column, like this column, so that these ones, we have to fix these two, sorry, we have to fix these two, so that like these ones will vary, right? So then how do we do that? So in order to like fix the two, we will see that because we don't want it to, like, if we are following very well, like whenever we come here, the blue one seems to like following, then that means the blue one is like, it's like following the column wise. We don't want that. So if I want to lock the column, then that means when I come to the foundation one, I should lock the column, right? So that's why I bring it in front. So I'll bring it in front, right? And then let's see whether we get it right. Okay, so oh, sorry. So in order to do, you have to be in the active mode first, right? So I don't know whether you can see it. So let me go back again. So the whole idea is that we want to fix, if you rewind the video, you saw that the 2 or the blue box was like following us anytime we go. So then that means we have to like fix it, right? So somehow, in order to fix it, someone will be thinking that, oh, then why didn't we put the $2 in front of the 12? Then that means it will become a relative, an absolute reference, and when it becomes a relative reference, then that means we won't be able to reach the 3, 4, 6. Right? That's why I freed the rows, right, and then fix the column so that it doesn't follow. But look at this. You see the 2 is fixed. You see the 2 is fixed. You see the 2 is fixed, right? It's fixed. Like, if you start trying your hands on it, you see that the 2 is fixed because of what I did. You see, I didn't add another $1 in front of the 12 because I'll be working on the 3, 4, 2, or the 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 5. So you can see that we've gotten this one right? But let's look at a certain problem too. Let's wait. My this one is calculating it. Yeah, so let's look at a problem that we've gotten. 4 times what? 2. You see that we've gotten this one right? I seem to be getting it wrong. So 4 times 2 is what? 6. You're supposed to get 6 here. So then that's why I say that first think from the relative perspective first. So let's investigate what is happening over here. Okay, so this one is getting it right, but how about this? I don't know whether you guys have been seeing this. The red box has been like been moving like a step forward. Have you seen? Instead of fixing, instead of the 2 getting fixed, it's following us, right? Look, it's like following us. Then that means we have to fix that row, the red one, right? So when that thing comes in mind, then you go to your foundation, and then if I want to fix the row, right, I just bring my this one in front of what, of a dollar, of a number, my dollar in front of a number, and then let's look. I don't know whether you've seen whether it's now correct. So you see that it's now fixed, right? So people should take note that I'm fixing one and freeing one because I want other aspects to also be free and the other aspect to be locked, right? So if you get it right, if you get the formula right, one thing that you can do is this way. One thing you can do is this way. So now that the formula is right, I move, because I can't be dragging this. What if I have 1,000, right? So I have to go, if I get it right, of which I'm right, all I have to do is this. I go horizontal, and then I go horizontal, get the value, and then I come vertical, right? And then come vertical, right? So this is the idea of what relative of mixed referencing. So what I'm doing is that I'm freeing some part and then fixing some part, right? So that's what I'm doing. I've logged some part and then free some part. So if you better get this one better if you do understand the relative and the absolute, and then you just understand how it is. I believe that when you at your free this one, it won't be deleted, it will still be there. You can just come back and then you'll be able to understand it well. So I believe you've understood the multiplication problem, and then you after you've gotten that, you've understood that multiplication problem, you'll be able to use it to solve this problem, the hotel problem, right? So if you are following it well, you will see that this thing is like the multiplication problem, whereby I multiply this by a 10%, and then it goes like that, right? So that is the multiplication table problem, right? So if that ideology comes in mind, then you will see how you do it. So a recap on when to use it, or when to choose the right referencing, right? So so the relative is when we just want it to be free, right? We just want to maintain relativity. Then that means, we can just use the default one. And then what about absolute? So what I term to be like a fixed value problem, whereby that fixed value multiplies through. For example, like tax, right? So you have a cell that contains tax, you want it to multiply throughout, then you go and use the word absolute. But how about the mixed cell reference? That is the multiplication table problem. Like that's a go-to way of me trying to memorize, or like getting to like get the intuition on how to use it correctly, right? I believe this one will help you a lot. So let's move on to so you'll be able to use that to solve the you see, this is the absolute problem, right? Yeah, so after you've gotten it, the question wants you to also like solve for 40%. All right, so something that I almost forgot. You see, I was manually typing in the dollars, right? So one thing you can do is that let me do something here. You don't have to like be typing it. So for example, if I do refer to this, right, which is what, so this is a relative referencing, right? So what I have to do is that if I enter editing mode, I can be pressing F4, and then I can be able to like toggle. So what I'm doing is that I'm pressing F4. So I'm pressing F4, the functional keys, right? So yeah, so this, you see, this is called what? This is a mixed reference whereby I'm locking the columns. You see, it's in front of you see, it's in front of an alphabet, so I'm locking the columns. So what about this? This is a relative. What about this? This is an absolute. I'm locking all. What is this? A mix whereby I'm locking the rows, right? I believe this one serves you well, right? So as I always say, the chat box is right over there. You can just hit me up, and then wherever I've reached, I'll come back and then sort you out, because you are the reason why we are here, right? We are not going anywhere. You are the reason why we are here. All right, so we are done with this. So before I move on to the next slides, I'll wait like 10 minutes, receive your questions, and then I move on, right? So 10 minutes your questions before I move on to the next chapter, right? I'm with you guys. I'm waiting for questions. Yes, so questions. So you can use the chat box. Just test in there any question. I'll go there, and then because we are moving into a different chapter which will require you to know all that we've done, right? So questions. Questions. All right, so if no questions, then I'll move on to the next chapter. All right, so I'm giving another time frame or window. All right, so 3 minutes. So I'm moving into the next chapter in 3 minutes. So 7 p.m. Alright, so Kenny is asking a question. Are we going to be examined practically during the exam? Exactly. Based on discussions with Doc, she's saying that there might be small objectives, like it's very small, like small objectives, and you see that flow charts or the algorithm or the introduction to those charts, right? Those introductions to program whereby you have this box whereby the algorithm whereby this one means decision, this one means output. You will get something over there, and then it's going to be practical stuff whereby with the Excel tool you have a data, right? A very big data, right? So, and then we'll be telling you to do something with it, and then you type in the formula. So what formula is used to do this? So during your exams, you allow you to use the Excel program whereby you like a whole environment to do everything that you want to do. So you also save the Excel tool and submit it, but there will be a session whereby you just send the formulas, because let's say how to calculate this person's mortgage or the tax or maybe whatever. So what's the formula? So if I want to compare this, it's going to be like practical stuff whereby you on the online you type in the formulas in there, and also you also type the formulas in the Excel sheet, because you also submit the Excel sheet so that we will see that indeed you did the work, right? I believe, Kenny, that answers your question. Yeah, so anyone, you do understand everything. As I said, right now is 8:05, so 8:07. I'm moving on to the next chapter. So there's an opportunity for you to like ask your question. All right, so we do have like few seconds, like for 50 seconds. 50 seconds. Then it seems I'm not getting a lot of questions. Then that means I did a great job in explaining the concepts. Yeah. Then that means I did a great job in explaining the concepts. Like that's what it means, right? Okay, so it's now 8:48 seconds. So I'm left with few. If you don't have any questions, I'll move on to the next chapter. And thank you very much for hearing me out on the previous section. Yeah. All right, so it's well, my time is now 8:07, so let's begin. Please, are we all on the same page? Like no network issue, no audio issue? Can I start? If I should start, someone should type start, or like should make me aware that I can start. All right, sure. So I can start. Okay. All right. So this is what we just did recently this week. This one is overview of functions and formulas, because if we've been able to understand the referencing, then that means given a data we can just use it in a certain function, and then we do our thing, because all of us are mathematicians, right? There is a class of math majors, statistics majors, and natural science majors, right? Everything that we do is math, right? And the other aspect is just concepts behind it. We just be in different fields solving field problems, right? So we do with formulas and functions a lot, right? So this brings us to the section of overview of what the application we are using terms to be formulas and what it terms to be functions. Great. Okay, so this is our outline. You do have the slides. So we do have something we call constant. So what's a constant, right? So constant is a value that's not calculated, right? So over here, talking about value is not only like numeric stuff, right? So it could be dates, it could be so it could be dates, it could be text, it could be dates, right? So there are other inputs that Excel takes. So if the thing is not calculated, right, the thing is not resulting from a certain like computation, it is a constant. Please just take it like that, right? It's just basically like that. Okay, so let me clean this. Alright, so I'm trying to get things done. Great. So as I said, anything is a value. So this what why is it this way? Okay, so let me fix that. Sorry for that. It's in wrap. Okay, so okay, so then this one will be yeah, so this is what this is a value. Okay, so 5, and then yeah, so there are, we don't only have test and what values. So if you come here, right, the formats, the other formats that you can use, so you can even use a date, right? So as you know, I can even get a fraction, a scientific value. So maybe you want to like so for example 0.2, right? It will give me the fraction format. So it will give you a fraction. So there are other formats that we can deal with. Okay, so as I said, we can even put date there, because date is also a form of what data. So look at, so if I select date, when I enter edit mode, it gives me a calendar that I can then input that date. You see, it gives me the date, right? And then it's also support like that series 10, of which you see it's in form of series, whereby I have 22, 24 up to 29, right? Great. So yeah, so these are the forms of inputs that we can deal with. If you're doing scientific stuff, for example, if the value is too huge, it will convert it into a scientific notation, right? Yeah, so if you are dealing with accounting, there are formats that you can use, right? Currencies, and this one is like decimal places. For example, let me show you this. So for example 8, right? So if I want to increase the decimal places, you see, I just click on this, I'm increasing the decimal place, so I can just also reduce it, right? You will see it in your own. Yeah, so I believe that serves you right. So that's all about constants, right? There's more to this. All right, so the most important thing is PEMDAS, right? So you already know board mass, right? So let me write it here. So board mass. All right, so we already know this, right? So this synonymous to PEMDAS, right? Please take note of that. So PEMDAS. So what does this one mean? So this one means brackets or parentheses. So anything in a parenthesis, it will be dealt with first. So just like the same ideology with this, it's the same, right? But just that the boardman doesn't have exponentiation, right? You can even use this in your calculation that you do in books instead of using it in the Excel. So anytime you are doing any computation with brackets, you can also use this. So PEMDAS, you have brackets, exponentiation. Let me write it down for you guys, right? So here is the order, parenthesis, am I right? Parenthesis, exponentiation, exponentiation. And I don't know whether you're also seeing, I'm also resizing, right? There's also a way to resize, okay, like auto fit and custom. You can even set a custom resize for it, or auto fit. This one will automatically fit it, right, instead of manually doing it. So, and then multiplication, let me do it multi. So exponentiation, right? I don't want to exhaust like the view, that's why I'm doing this. So the parentheses or the brackets, and the division. and what division, and then addition, and then what subtraction, right? So I think this will be some sort of reference when we are doing it together, right? So this is the order, okay? So it goes this way. So it goes this way, right? So from left to right, right? So it goes this way, right? Great. What is the meaning of the C? So it goes from what left to right. Yeah, so that's the order. So let's try to solve a certain question, right? I just want to bring your mind on this, right? So so I am in the chat, right? This is 1, and then this is 2. So in the chat I would like you to give me the answers for these, right? So 3 plus 4 times what? 2, right? I need the value for this one. Anyone? Can you tell me the value for this one? And based on the PEMDAS, can anyone tell me the value of this one? Let's use the charts. Yeah, so by following the order, the PEMDAS, right? So I'll need you to compute the final answer. All right, so we do have a volunteer here, Cyril, who says 19. Okay, so let's reason together. So PEMDAS. So then we are dealing with brackets first. There are no brackets, so there is no prioritization. What the bracket does is called prioritization. It prioritizes that, and then that becomes a nested operation, whereby in that operation you go and do another, you go in there and then go and do another PEMDAS in there. So it's a nested operation with a bracket. Okay, so what I mean that you have to solve the bracket first. So we have exponents. There are no exponents, so we will have to first deal with the multiplication first, right? So if I'm to deal with the multiplication first, then there are multiplication here, so then that means 4 times 2 is what? 8. So and then I'll get that value written down, and then what we have to do is division. There are no division, so we go to what? Addition. So if you remember, it was 8 plus what? 8 plus 3, and then that will give us is 11. So that will give us 11, right? Yeah, that's 11. So you all know why I'm getting the dollar. It's just that that line, that format over there is we see previously we were doing a question about what? Currency. So that format is still there. So as usual, you just have to go and change it. Okay. Right, so it's 11, right? So that's the whole idea. So let's do one complex one, and then let's do one complex one. So this one the 2. Okay, so what is the answer for 10 times bracket 12 division division and then a bracket 3 plus 3 plus 3, and then plus what? 5. This is what? 5 square, right? 5 square. Yeah, so in the chat I'll be looking for your suggestions. This will show that you really do understand this, right? So just follow the order, the PEMDAS order, and then you'll be able to solve it, right? Because you see, all these things, though, we are trying to prepare you guys for programming, and this is very important in programming. For example, in programming, you should get, when you are trying to replicate a certain formula in a book, like computationally, you should also follow the PEMDAS. It's a very crucial thing that we are analyzing over here. So I need the answers. I've seen one has suggested, Cyril has suggested. I just want to see your thoughts too. Yeah, I think I should be getting a lot of numbers when it comes to the calculation. Just try, just comment or tell us your view on that question. Alright, so what did you get? Okay, so let's stick with Cyril's own. Cyril is 745. Let's view it. Alright, so okay, so let's try and solve this. So parentheses, right? So then that means we should be dealing with things in the bracket first. So then that means with this bracket, right, we have to solve this bracket first. And I told you that it's a nested operation. So then that means with the PEMDAS, you have to go in there and then go and like do that. We go in there and then we do that operation in there too. So you see that brackets, we have a first bracket here. So then that means we have to solve the things in there, but there's another bracket in there, so that's the prioritization. So it becomes 6, right? So 6 divided by 12 becomes what? 2. Am I right? So 2, right? So it will be something like so if I'm supposed to rewrite this thing again, you see that when I exit, I'm going to get like error, right? Don't be bothered by the error. All right, it didn't happen, right? Okay, so it becomes 10 times what? Times a bracket of what? 2. You can correct me. Hey, wait, guys. Okay, all right, it's still that. And then 5 exponents, right? Alright, so this will be the next thing that you have to solve, because in the bracket became 2. So then we go back. So PEMDAS brackets. So now there are no brackets. Like actually there are no brackets because you've been able to solve it. So there will be no brackets. Okay. So the next one will be about exponentiation. So when I do the exponential, what am I getting? I'm getting 25. Right? Alright, so then we start over again. Then bracket, exponentiation, multiplication. So what's the multiplication here? It becomes what? 20. Right? So then 20, we start over again. So we go bracket, exponential, parentheses, exponentiation, multiplication, division, addition, right? So then that means the answer is what? 45. So big shout outs to Cyril Bar. So the Cyril, is it your actual name? Cyril. I know the Bar is actually your name, but the Cyril I've not that's new to me, right? All right, so big shout outs to Cyril. All right, so that's how the PEMDAS work. So I'm very glad that all of you, or we've gotten like a grip or a deep understanding of something that looks easy but very paramount in the field of programming, right? All right, I now catch that. Okay, so I don't know, did you all get the PEMDAS? Because it's very important in our future calculation. We'll be even using it next semester, right? Yeah, so over here it's called what? Overriding. The parentheses override the order, right? So there are operations, right? So we have arithmetic operations. That one we know, 1 + 1, those stuff. right? And then we have comparison. So there are situations whereby we'll be comparing certain stuff. We have text concatenation too. So so if you open your dictionary, concatenation means add. So you can term it to what? Text addition, right? Something called text addition, right? So concatenate means to add something, right? And then there's something we call referencing. So we'll be going back into the referencing again. I'll be touching on that again, because there's something that we didn't mention that I have to mention again. So these are operations, we've done that. All right, so what about comparison, right? So over here with the comparison of operators, so we'll be dealing with things that are what's true or false, right? We are just comparing, right? Comparing, is this greater than this? Is this equal to this? Is this not equal to this? Is this greater than or equal to? So let's see it in action, please. All right, so let me see whether I still have data. Yeah, I still have some. Okay, let me do from scratch. Okay, so score 1 and what score 2, right? So as usual, score 1 is mostly our mid-sem, and this is what our final, the 1/70. So let's do some comparison over here, right? So let's say 12 and what 89, right? So, and this is our verdict, right? Is it how we spell verdict? All right, so verdict. Okay, so so we want to compare stuff, right? So yeah, instead of referencing, you can just type actual stuff in there. So but make sure you start with equal to. So 12 is 12 equal to like 12. Oh wait, right? So the most important thing is to bring the equal to, right? And then your comparison stuff. So that chart that I showed, the comparison. So is this equal to 12? Yeah, it's true. It's true, right? But so if I want to do is 12. Please, I'm not doing referencing. I'm just doing like actual constant stuff, right? So is 45 equal to 50? Oh, I'm being. You see, with Python or like other programming languages, that's what we mostly do. So I'm being like, it still keeps hunting me. Yeah. So 45 is equal to 50, which is what false. Okay, but is 45 is not equal to 50, right? That would be true. So not equal to, right? Of which, oh sorry. So this is what we call not equal to. So if I bring the two if I bring the left hand and the greater hand, or the greater than, it gives us true, because it's true that what 45 is not equal to what 50, right? So you can do stuff whereby is this greater than it? Is this less than it? Oh yeah, it's less than it. But is it greater than it? Yeah, you try that. It gives you a false. So that's how it is. So there are questions in there that we just tried. We just wanted to get some verdicts, get some judgments, right? We are comparing certain things. This thing is very important because on the next semester, whereby we'll be doing like if statements in Excel, right? With that one, because this serves well when you insert it in a conditional statement, because if something is false, what should happen? If something is true, what should happen, right? So that's very important. You use it later on, but it's worth knowing. Yeah. So all right, so reference operators. Okay, so referencing to, we do have operators over there. Alright, so I believe you already know this. Let me look for some data. Alright, good. So just be focusing on the cell referencing part. So control C and then control V, right? Okay, so I'm here, right? This one you already know. So if I want to do ranges, so I just have to like, so if I want to like do a range, or I have to like, I want to like catch or cover this part, what I have to do is like get the reference. This was B4, so B4, and then you see the operator, it's what semicolon, right? I'm coming. Yeah, so this is what we call the colon, right? This is the colon. So this is the colon. So this is the colon, and then so I want to cover like a wide range, right? So with this I can just, it's because if I want to cover from here to here, I just have to use this operator, and then what, so let's say to what, D4, right? Have you seen you see how far it's covering? So you can be diagonal too, right? You can be diagonal, so whereby if this B4, if I want to catch all of this, I can do what, C7. Have you see, I went diagonally, and then it captured it in the form of a rectangle, right? So that's how it is. So I think the next operator is this. The next operator is column, it's comma, right? So I think with what I just did, this is what it does. You see, when you keep doing this is what it's doing in the background for you, right? Great. All right, so what about the next is commas. So what if like I want to skip certain things, right? For example, like I want to be like specific with certain things. I don't need all of them, I need some. So if I need some, the whole idea is to use what, commas. So if we reference it, you use a comma. If you reference it, you use a comma. Oh, sorry, you use a comma. You reference this, you use a comma, right? So if I need more, because you see I can jump and even come here, right? This is not a value. The reason why it's not a value is that there's no way it can represent this, but this thing can be used in what, calculations. For example, there's a function called what, sum. This thing, what it does is that it gives you the sum of whatever you are doing. It gives you the sum. So if I'm able to capture them, then I can find the sum of those values, right? This one is ahead of us, but we'll do it later on. But I feel like making you get the concept, because this is easier. It's just a function that a function that tries to sum the selected value that you have, right? So you see that it's what, 6.2, right? So if I add this plus this, I'm getting 2.2, I'm getting 4.2, and then add it to this, I'm getting 6.2. Is that right? Yeah, 6.2, right? So that's what the comma does. Okay, so if you want to be selective, it can even deal with ranges too. So for example, like for example, if I want to select here and then here, how do I do it? Because I don't want to add a price to it. If I want to do that sort of calculation, right, whereby I do this, have you seen that they seem to stand still, right? As I said, these things, they can't do it. So you just, so the whole idea is that the comma is used to like capture them, right? Whereby you want to exclude some, you want to be selective, because the range includes everything. If you want to be selective, that's when you use the commas, right? So if I use sum, right, so this function, that's why it just sums the value, right? So the whole, just forget about the sum, we'll get back to it, but the whole idea is the commas, right? Me being selective of the things I want to choose, because the range will just like everything, will just take everything, but the comma will give you will make you selective. All right, so let's go to our next discussion. Is let me see, it's what spaces. So how do we deal with space? So dealing with spaces, we'll be using, because we've dealt with what this, we've dealt with what this. I even showed a situation whereby we get like a mixture of them. Sorry. All right, so how about the space? The space is what is called intersection, right? The space is equal to what? Intersection, right? So if I want to do something which involves intersection, right? Because let me show you something. Sometimes you might be doing something whereby you need intersection, right? So if this, so let's say this, oh no, so let me fill it. I don't know whether you are seeing the intersection, right? So if I'm doing something that involves like me dealing with intersection, that's where the space comes in, right? So it will try and then pick the intersection, right? It will try and pick the intersection. So let me write you the formula. So what I'll do is that the range, right? I just have to get the range and then a space. So this time the operator is not this, but rather a space. And then I'll come and what? Get a new range, right? So if I do a new range and press enter, you see that I'm getting 1.2, right? So there could be a situation whereby like maybe the range, for example, what if you want to get a lot of intersection, right? So let me delete this and try to get a large area. So this, right, and then space, and then look at something, right? You see the intersection. I don't know whether you guys have seen the intersection. Obviously now I've gotten the value, so I could do stuff with it. I could have found the sum of it. Let's say sum. We've not reached function, but I thought of this is easier to grab. The understanding is easier. So you see I'm getting what, 5, right? Because sum of what, you see this is the intersection, right? So 1 plus this is what, 3, and 3 plus 2 is what, 2. I believe you do get the understanding, right? So if you don't get, you can just rewind, and if you don't understand anything too, you can reach out to me too, right? Yeah, you can ask your class rep. He will give you my number, and then anything that you want me to help you out, I'll give you a section, like a live session like this, whereby I prove I try to sort you out. All right, so that's all for reference operators. We will finish soon, okay? So let's go to the test operators. So I did mention concatenation, okay? So concatenation, it means that we are adding stuff. So let me just give you a basic idea of it. A basic idea. No fail, right? So the whole thing is about we just adding text. I told that concatenation means adding, right? Me combining stuff together, right? So what if, but remember, anything that we do, make sure we start with what equal to. Okay, so equal to what's my name? My name is Joseph. Okay, so make sure you bring this quote, the quote, and then Joseph, right? Yeah, so Joseph is there. So what if I want to add force into it, right? So if I want to add force into it, I just bring my what. You see, the whole intuition would have been that I add what plus, right? But here just give room for some viewpoint or perspective, and then use what, the ampersand, so the end sign, the ampersand, and then I use what, my second name is called forcing. Okay, so this is my name, so I've been able to add it and it makes sense. This is why you say forcing, and it makes sense, right? So what if but if you look at this very well, it seems it would be better that I get it would be better if I get a space in there. Okay, and please, I'm seeing I should go over, please type the actual thing that I should go over, the actual thing. If you type the actual thing, I'll go over. Let's say maybe if the concept is, let's say, test concatenation, you type test concatenation, I'll go over. I'm waiting for you guys. I'm still waiting. Cyril and then Abel, you are saying I should go over. I just want you to tell me the concept that I should go over. Let's say if it's test concatenation, you tell me. If it's the reference, and you tell me. Maybe the reference one, or the comparison one. I'm still waiting for you guys. $11. Yes, so the use of the column. Oh, okay. So other suggestion is saying there's a live video, right? So after it ends, you can just go back and then but I'm still not preventing you guys from asking questions though. You can still ask questions, like when it's immediate, like but the reason why I'm not answering this is that it's clear when you rewind or go back, right? Yeah, so I'm still not preventing you guys from asking questions. Okay, yeah, okay, so let's continue the concatenation. Yeah, so this is what we want, right? You say forcing, but it would be great if we could get space in there. So space 2 is still a test, so it would be great, because in order to use, like, to add test or string, you just have to add the ampersand too, because so let's look. So this is called what? Space, right? So space, right? So this what? So this space, right? So in order to like concatenate it, I'll have to use what? The ampersand, right? So this is space. I literally wrote space to make you aware that space is there. So I'm deleting it, okay? And then use actual space, right? So I don't know if you can hear me. I've tapped on my my space, okay? Yeah, so Abel, if you do have next questions, you can ask, but with this one, it's well said behind, right? If it's an immediate stuff, as I said, I'm not preventing you guys from asking questions, okay? Yeah, so you can see that I'm having what you say forcing in there. What if it wasn't space? I could use what dash, right? I could do a lot of concatenations that I want, right? So there's a whole lot of flexibility whereby I could use and then my other name too is Adu Jemfi, right? So I do have Adu there, so right, so I could add space to it. Okay, I could be flexible and add space. Alright, so, yeah, so Joseph Adu, right? I could be you could be flexible in adding stuff. As I said, the thing is called concatenation, so you just be adding stuff. So that's the whole idea. So if your content is in a cell, you can just connect do reference to it, and then you connect them, right? So for example, if Joseph was in A2, and then this was in B2, you could have done that, and then you move on. Yeah, so for example, first name, last name, right? So Joseph Forson, and then Ibel Amani, and then Sarah, right? And then over here is like full name, right? So I can write a formula this way. So this is my foundation formula, this, and then this, and then I'll need a space, right? So literally a space, and then my ampersand again, and then this, okay, and it will work well. And when you do it well too, you can drag down, and then it becomes nicely done. All right, so that's all for the test concatenation. Yeah, so there's something a certain feature in it called names, right? So let me copy some data over here. What? Excuse me. Great. It's working well. Yeah, so there's a certain feature in it whereby you can actually name like columns instead of doing the referencing, right? Instead of like, if I need it, I have to do this, whereby like I have to do like B1 to let's say C7, right, to capture, or let's say to like you can actually name anything. So if the thing is even like single cell, if the thing is like a tax, you can even name it so that it's just tax, and then you can like reference it, right? And then it will be something that if you type equal to, it comes in there as a suggestion for you to choose. So let's say like total sales, right? I want to give this range total sales, right? I want to give it a name. So the whole thing is about naming it, okay? So what you have to do is stop whatever you are doing, and then go to formulas, and then go to name manager, right? Some individuals are using the desktop version, but it will still work well, right, if you follow the same concept and the whole idea. So if you have no names in there, you just have to define a name. So what's the name? The name shouldn't literally be this, it could be any name, right? So but it will be sensible if you use the heading, okay? So sales, and then you could come to like this one. So this will be the range, okay? So this one is the range that you want to deal with. Those using the desktop, this one will be clickable. So it becomes clickable and it becomes like a bar. Then you come and select, okay? So this is active, okay? So when it's active, you keep dragging, okay? It could be one thing, right? Let's say if this was tax, you could have named it tax. Let's say a range, we do it this way, right? So I think some of you are seeing sheets here. We'll get to this concept later, right? But just embrace whatever you get. But when you have some values here, they refer to, right? If you have some values there, make sure you delete all the formulas there and then start afresh, okay? This one means that we are in sheet 1. I don't know if you can see it. This one is in sheet 1. That's why it's sheet 1. If it's sheet 2, if it is 2, tut 2, it will be what tut 2. It's just referring to the sheet you are in. So you can give some comments. Okay, this is give some comments whereby you say this so that other users can know what it is. So this is the total sales, right? And then after that you save. But this one is very important. The important stuff are this, and you see there's asterisk over there. Yeah, so if you're using the desktop one, you'll be allowed to like deal with scope. There's a thing aspect called scope, whereby you can choose the workbook, a sheet, like where you want it to be active, right? Yeah, but with this one, it deals with sheets. Okay, so currently the scope cannot be edited on Excel for web, right? Hey, and also remember, you can use space for the names. You see I'm getting an error here. So if I want to use space, I could just use what underscore, and it makes sense, right? So if I press save, it will be able to save, right? It's saved somewhere else. If you come to name manager, you see it here, right? You could also add other names there too. So you can also delete it if you don't need it, or it's trying to bother you on some calculations. You can also delete it. Alright, so I can call it over here. So what it does that it can even do spell, right? It spells. So for example, like it actually like spells, like spell this term, right? So if I type, make sure it's also case sensitive. So total at sales. So this is it. Okay, I don't know if you get a try, you see that it also like highlights it. Okay, so this is the spillage I was talking about, right? You see I'm getting the actual data here, so I can even do calculations on it. Okay, so the easiest that we've been doing some. So now instead of getting the range, you are getting a reusable like name that we can just in any calculation. We don't have to like, now we are coming to check where is this range is B2. We just do it once and then we can call it anywhere we want it, right? So you can try your hands on making single values too, like for example tax, whereby just tax, right? So you can get, instead of this one being a range, you can just use like, you can just use you can just use a column, right? Yeah, so that's how we name stuff. I think over there on top of the charts, like over there, if I go up to the chart, someone asked me to go through naming cells or rows or columns. I believe that person is saved right now. That person can give me a feedback. Okay, yeah, so you use that over here. Yeah, so a certain concept I want to introduce to you before we come to the arrays, and we are finishing now. We will finish soon. So I think a lot of you were confused in class when we reached here, when we reached like selecting values from other sheets, because it's a book, right? As I'm saying, the whole thing that we are dealing with is called a workbook, and then singly they are sheets. Just as you've been writing your sheet, you can go and pick into other sheets and then come and then like maybe write certain things down, right? So if I want to fetch this value, for example hourly rate, this value, if I want to go and fetch it, what I have to do is that if I just press equal to, right, and go to the sheet, right, and then click on it, it appears over there, right? So look at, it's at $11, right? So instead of like actually like going to do it, you can do it this way, whereby T and what equal to, and then what the name of the sheet. Remember, it is case sensitive. You should be actual on what you are doing, and then bring your what exclamation sign. So if you break your exclamation sign, you can go and what do any referencing you want. For example, this is what the name, right? John. So if I want to get John, it's what A48. So I have to come here and then A48. I have to come to my what 48 A48, and then I'm getting John, right? So there are two stuff that you can do. So if you know, so in order to like get yourself in trouble when you are naming your sheet, right? If your sheet contains space, just do this. Just bring a quote to it. If it contains space, for example, since I can't create, let me show you this. I'm coming, right? I'm about to show you like if your this one contains space, what you should do. So if your sheet contains space, right? For example, look over here. We are finishing now. We will finish soon, right? Now, for example, this sheet, right? Sheet names. No. For example, this is called full names, right? It's actually a sheet. So if I want to get this, so if I want to get this thing, which is called Joseph Forson, right? And then the content is as what A1. You can actually do like ranges and all those stuff. So what I will do is that the reference, and this is how I'll do it. I'll use my single quote, and then I get the name right, the name of the sheet. It is, so it becomes what? Full names. Please get it right? Full names. And then curious learners can also go look at that. I'm using the web version, that's why I can't teach you that, but you can just look it up, right? So most of the time you find purpose when you learn, like you go seek the knowledge yourself. Yeah, so that's all for like referencing, like going to call like a certain value in a different sheet. So I've showed you one is using the mouse, whereby like you just go there. The other one is just like typing it manually in there. Okay, so let's look at the last concept and then we go and sleep. Okay, so the last concept is this. It's called arrays of formulas. It is called array formulas and what constant. So what's an array formula? So if you guys were watching net profit, so if you guys were watching, let me copy this value. You see, when you understand it, you're able to use this one. That's why I don't like you. I just want to give you the intuition first before like so for example, you have a data over here, right? And then we want to like square it. You see that most of the time we would have done this. We would have gotten our foundation formula. We have gotten our foundation formula and then we square it, right? And then we square it. So this is our foundation formula, and then after that we drag it down, right? So this is what like generally we would have done. We would have gotten our foundation formula and we compute it. But with the array formulas, we can just do one thing and then it works throughout the thing without like dragging. So what we could have done is this way. So we could just write one formula and then it will work throughout. So for example, I could just do this, right? I could just get my entire range, right? So those who don't know how to like select, a lot of people tend to like have problem with selecting. So initially I introduce you to what active cell and what edit mode. If I click it once, it's what active, whereby there is no insertion point, it's active. So if I double click, it's called what I've entered the edit mode, right? So if I'm active, I don't have to like drag this one. If I'm active, I can just drag down, right? Yeah, so that's how we do dragging. So with the, as I said initially, most of the time we do calculations based on what the basic or the foundation formula, and then we tend to like drag it down or copy it throughout, and then it works. So the array formula is whereby with one formula it works we write one formula and then it will spill throughout the page, right? Yeah, so there's a change you might see in other books, right? There's been a change in like array formulas, whereby sometimes in order to do like array formula calculation, you will use control shift and what enter, but with updates in the software, it seems to have changed, whereby you don't have to do that, right? So that's why if you're using old Excel, you might